The number you have reached, 911, has been changed to a non-published number.
You're listening to UCW Radio. In your face.
Welcome to another segment of UCW Radio, and this is your host, Lou, a.k.a. Falcon Coparis, and I want to thank all of our listeners again for their continued support, and I hope you're enjoying our special guests that are coming on the show every week. It's just getting more and more interesting. On today's show, we have a very special guest. He is one of the foremost authorities on motorcycle clubs and the biker lifestyle in the world. He evolved from living the biker lifestyle for over 25 years to becoming not only an author, but one of the most sought-after consultants for TV, films, documentaries, anything out there as it relates to the biker lifestyle. I refer to him as an icon in the motorcycle club arena. He shows that the biker lifestyle is not only what you see on TV or what you read about in your local paper. So this is going to be very interesting. Now, before we bring our guests on the line, I have to give you some information. Listeners can actually call in when the show is live. You can get a pen and write this down. 323-215-1446 is the number. That's 323-215-1446. And when we're not live, you can actually still call in and leave a message, leave your question or comment for our guest. Just go to ucwmagazine.com. You can see who our guests are and just leave your message. Get involved. If it's interesting enough, trust me, it'll be played on the show. And if it's not, well, at least you left it, right? Also, if you're on Twitter, then you can shoot me out some questions or comments while we're live, or even if we're not live. You can also catch me on Facebook and connect with me there and ask your questions there as well. My Twitter name is Louis Velazquez. That's LouisVelazquez. Follow me and ask away. Now, without further ado, let's patch in the man who I call an icon in the motorcycle club arena. Former leader of the renowned Banditos Motorcycle Club, Edward Winterhalder. Edward, welcome to UCW Radio. I want to thank you in advance for taking time out of your day for us. I know you're busy nowadays, so I really do appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, Louis. It's good to have met you, and it should be an interesting interview.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt, it's going to be interesting. But I think what we're going to wind up doing is giving people a little more insight into who you are, because your story I find to be amazing. It's an amazing journey. You went from being one of the top leaders of the quote-unquote outlaw biker clubs, the Banditos, to being one of the most sought-after authorities on motorcycle clubs and the biker lifestyle, as well as being an accomplished author. Some of your books, they include The Biker Chicks, The Assimilation, Rock Machine Becomes Banditos, Living on the Edge, Out in Bad Standing, and All Roads Lead to Sturgis. I hope I'm covering all of them. Am I missing anything?
Well, you're missing a couple, but that's okay. I do want to tell you that this is the last place on earth that I thought I'd be at this age.
Yeah,
being an author and being involved with television, it's definitely the last place I thought I'd be.
Yeah, well, I think you evolved. I think most people do evolve, but I think that your past is actually is an inspiration to other people. I think what you've done and what you're doing right now just shows, you have to go through things in life in order to share things with the world, and I think that's what you've done. But before we touch on your books, I think that the best place to start so people can get a really good understanding of who you are is to start at the beginning. How did you get involved in the biker lifestyle way back when?
Well, many, many years ago when I was about 14, I was at a carnival in North Branford, Connecticut. I grew up in North Branford. And some guys rode in on some Harley choppers and ended up parking their bikes about 5 feet from where I was standing. And at that point in time, I knew that's what I wanted to do with, when I got older and old enough, that's what I wanted to have and that's what I wanted to do. And when I come home from the Army in 1973, I went back to work, had a truck shop, and graduated over to a heavy equipment firm. And in the process, saved every dollar I had. And in late 1974, bought my first Harley, which was a 1963 Panhead. And when work got bad in Connecticut in 1975, I moved out to Oklahoma. And within a very short period of time, made some new friends that were in a local motorcycle club called the Rogues, and started hanging out with them. And it took me a few years, but in 1978, I ended up becoming a member. And from that point on, all the way up until 2003, I was either a member of a motorcycle club, an outlaw motorcycle club, or very closely associated with them and running with them as an independent.
I mean, going from Connecticut to Oklahoma, that's a big change, and actually get just started you on the path of everything that you've done in your life. I know, and this may be, if you don't have to answer this or go into it if you don't want to, but I know one of the most headlined events that I know of as it relates to motorcycle clubs was with the Banditos and the Hells Angels. Do you mind touching on that just a little bit?
Well, frequently, certain members of the clubs have had problems with other members of the clubs. The two clubs get along fine. It's just that you go back to the first grade playground when you have two bullies on the playground. One of them, always picks a fight with the other, and that's traditionally what's going on with the Hells Angels and the Banditos.
Just on a big
but
level.
As far as the clubs are concerned, there's nowhere in the world right now where the clubs are, fighting with each other, with the exception of some individual members that take it upon themselves to promote that philosophy.
Right.
They're the ones. Certain individuals are the ones that are creating the incidents that occur between the Hells Angels and the Banditos.
But all in all, being a part of a motorcycle club is actually an exciting thing, and it's not all that people read in the papers.
No, it's the majority of the outlaw motorcycle club members, as well as motorcycle club members, period, are all regular people that live in your neighborhood. Most of them are parents and dads, and they have regular jobs in the community, and they participate in the community. The only thing they're guilty of is having a little bit too much fun on the weekends. What people read about and see on TV is the negative acts that were committed by a minority. And they get all the attention and all the media, and by default, everyone in the world believes that that's what all members are all about. And that's not true.
Well, that's the thing. The media, they post a picture of anything. And that is what's going on your television, on the radio, on the internet, and that's what people begin to believe. And it's funny that someone watches something on TV, they say, well, motorcycle clubs, they're all evil and they're all bad and they're all this, but that's the picture that's painted. But all of that is far from the truth. And,
absolutely, that's an absolute fact. The majority of the Banditos that I knew, were all working guys, had jobs, had families, and like I said, just like to have a little bit too much fun sometimes.
No, you know what? That's not too bad. Something that you have to you have to curb it sometimes.
Sure.
Yeah, but you retired from the club, and I appreciate you getting into that. By the way, you retired from the club back in 2003. You were part of the Banditos for about 25 years. You had 25 years of service with the club. How did it feel to leave something that was such a part of your life for so long?
Well, I actually ran into my first Bandito around 1980, so you're right about having 25 years in and around the club. I didn't actually become a member till 1997, only because I lived in Oklahoma and there was not a local chapter here, and I ended up getting the Banditos to come here and founded the chapter here in Oklahoma. But during from 1980 to 1997, I was with them all the time. They were here visiting me all the time, and I cultivated a lot of very close friendships during that 23-year period. To leave the club, it's kind of like a guy that's working at the at the car factory for 25 years, and all of a sudden one day he says, "I've had enough of this, and it's time to move on with your life." At the time, back in 2003, I had a thriving construction company, and my daughter, who I had custody of, was just turning 10, and I knew that I only had 5 or 6 years left with her before she had her driver's license, and pretty much had her own life, and I really wanted to be around for her and enjoy those years. And also I wanted to explore my business a little farther. So, and I think the last thing was that I was getting older, and it was hard to keep up with the young guys anymore as far as riding my bike 1 million miles each year.
Right.
So there was a little bit of everything, but it was time for me to move on, and leaving those friends behind. It's just one of those things as part of the deal. And originally I didn't anticipate having to leave them behind, but very shortly after I got out of the club, the national chapter of the Banditos changed my out status to being out in bad standings, which meant that nobody who was currently in the club could associate with me anymore. So that kind of set the stage for a total departure and time for me to move on, which I've done since then.
I mean, that kind of sucks. There's no other way for me to say that, but it does.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But such is life.
Yeah.
And it's really more painful for the guys that are actually in the club as far as sanctions, because I was out of the club, they couldn't do anything to me.
Mm-hmm.
But if they caught somebody socializing with me that was in the club, then they would throw him out of the club. Mm-hmm. So that was the leverage that they used to keep people from associating with me after I was put out in bad standings.
Yeah, but that's tough, because when you're with these guys, around these guys for 10, 20, 25 years, they become part of your family, your extended family. And it's just like you not being able to speak to your brother or sister. That's a little tough.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
but such is life, and you move on. And I had plenty of other friends and associations with many, many other people. So it was okay.
Well, I mean, look at what it did. It gave you an opportunity to do what you're doing now. Right now, from what I know, that you've been brought in as an authority of the biker lifestyle for TV, film, documentaries, so on and so forth. You've done a lot of stuff, and this is all following your tenure with the Banditos, with everything that's transpired in your life. And so actually you're a lot of good things are happening, or have happened for you, and continue to happen for you.
I can tell you that part of that is due to the fact that there was so little documentation out there, like books and stuff about the lifestyle. Almost none of it had been written by anybody who had ever come from the lifestyle. The majority had been written by journalists and law enforcement people, and the majority of what was out there was concerning the negative acts of the minority.
Right.
So for me, it was an opportunity. For me, it started, I just wanted to write down everything that I'd been involved with that was important while I could still remember it. And I never set out to write a book. It was just one of those things that evolved. One day I woke up and had 180,000 words written down and about 150 photographs, and I thought, man, it'd be cool to put them in a book. So that was how the first book came around. It was a total accident, never planned on.
What was the first book? What was the title of that one?
Out in Bad Standings.
That was the first one, Out in Bad Standings.
Yeah, and it was self-published. I wrote it myself. I edited it myself. I manufactured it myself. And I went on the internet and looked at self-publishing, and they said, count up the number of friends you have, and that's the number of books you print. So I printed up 300 copies and figured I'd have them for the rest of my life. Did a book signing here in Tulsa, Oklahoma for the book, and sold out the books within a week. So after that, went and...
a light bulb came on and said, hey,
Yeah. Shortly thereafter, Barnes & Noble got a hold of me and told me that they had requests for the book, lots of them, and I went and manufactured a whole bunch more books, and before long they were selling all over the world. And like I said, it was a total accident, just one of those deals. Wow. And that book led to the other books, and the other books led to television stuff, and it's just
That's amazing.
Like the domino effect. You push over the first domino and they keep going.
Yeah, well, sometimes it happens. You have, just a whole slew of good things that transpire, but everything just came from something negative. A whole bunch of positive stuff happened.
Absolutely.
And that's great. Can you tell us what projects or what TV, film, documentaries that you were brought in as a consultant?
I was brought in as a consultant for an HBO show called 1%.
Okay.
Which HBO, they green-lighted the pilot for it and green-lighted the season synopsis, and for whatever reasons, which are unknown to me, they never green-lighted, the actual series, and that was last fall. Right now I'm going to have a pilot on Discovery Channel this fall that I've been involved in. It's going to feature the first balanced perspective of outlaw motorcycle clubs.
Oh, wow.
So we talked to a little bit of everybody on it and got everybody's opinion from all sides. And if that works out well, hopefully there'll be some more episodes.
That's interesting.
And then right now in development, I've got a series that we're shopping to the networks that involves a all-female motorcycle club.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. So you have a lot of things on your plate right now.
Yep, I've got 3 more book projects that are in different stages of development right now. One of them is almost finished, which is the second book in the Biker Story series, and this book is called The Mirror, and it will be out in February of 2010.
That series that series started with what, All Roads Lead to Sturgis, right?
Correct, and that's a line of fictional stories, based on a lifestyle. And every one of these books is my co-author James Richard Larson and I are making sure that they are movie worthy. Every book, they've got multiple plots, cross plots, and they're just fascinating books. And then my next nonfiction book will be Biker Chicks of North America.
Okay.
My co-author Will DeClerc and I have gone in and interviewed 25 prominent female Harley riders in North America.
Wow.
These girls are either famous girls who happen to ride a Harley, or they are famous because they ride Harleys. And it should be a very interesting, inspirational book that we think everybody should be interested in. And then we're just starting on a book, Biker Chicks in North America should be out worldwide in the summer of 2010.
Okay, and they can get on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all those sites.
Oh yeah, every bookstore in the world will have access to it. And then we're just starting on Biker Kids, Who's Your Daddy? We are interviewing...
I like that. I like that title.
Yeah, we're interviewing people in between the ages of 16 and 60. That when they were a child, they were raised in the home of a biker. Maybe their mom was a biker or their dad was a biker.
Okay.
And we're capturing their memories from that time span. I have teamed up with Dr. Richard Fee at Arizona State University, who's a sociologist, and he has assembled a team of interns. Some of them are grad students and some of them are not. And they are conducting all the interviews because we discovered that in the entire world there's never been an academic study done on this group of individuals. So this project will evolve into an academic paper, and then it will also, after they get done converting the interviews into the academic stories will be sent up to Will DeClerc in Canada, and Will and I will hammer it out into a regular reading book that everybody can understand. And that book should be out probably December of 2010.
Wow.
So I definitely have a full plate right now.
Yeah, wow. And what about film projects? Do you have anything going on film-wise? I know you have your books that are film-worthy, but do you have anything that's in the works right now?
No, I've got some film people sniffing around looking at the books, but nothing as of this date is concrete. No contracts yet. Well,
I'm sure it's going to come to fruition because, I mean, your life's amazing. Your books, I'm sure that I know I've read a couple. They are, amazing. And if you're talking about film-worthy stuff, that is it. You have the real deal there. And I'm sure that things are going to come about, with that. And I know that I just feel that your new books will be a big success because, as you said, there's really nothing out there like what you're producing or you're putting out there. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're trying to focus on the positive aspects of being in a motorcycle club. Through the communities that the guys live in. Through their jobs, through their families, stuff like that. And then if we dive off into the outlaw motorcycle clubs, some of the stuff is historical. And, it's purely what we're out to capture is an accurate portrayal, historically, of an event that might have happened.
Well, years ago they used to make a lot of biker movies going back to Marlon Brando and then Easy Rider, all that stuff. But what you're doing is showing something so real that people will see, hey, you know what? It's not about, gang wars and this and that, all that nonsense. It's about real people just enjoying something that's a part of their lives.
Oh, absolutely. And my books, are not pursuing sensationalism. They're focusing on the other side of the story that no one's ever told. And, we're trying to do it as accurately as possible and make it enjoyable. And even in the fictional line, the guys are somewhat of the heroes of the book. So it's, and it's a lot of the stuff that I wrote about in the fictional books are stuff that happened to me in my life that I just need to leave the names alone. And doing a fictional story, you can use some of those events that occurred in my life and portray them in the fictional sense, and it works out real well.
You play around with it a little bit, and you make it into something very interesting.
Absolutely.
What's interesting to me that going back in time, if you look at and I know this is going to sound silly, but you look at vampires. Okay, when people used to write about vampires, make movies, he was always the evil guy, the bad guy, this and that, and then all of a sudden it evolved to what you see on TV right now, where it's
absolutely that's a very good analogy.
Yeah, where vampires are like, wow, Twilight, True Blood. People are watching this and they're embracing the vampire. They're like, wow, that's we're looking up to the vampire, and it amazes me because for so many years the vampire was the bad guy, but now. He's not the bad guy anymore. He's like, he's not good, he's not bad, he's just there, and people embrace it.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what you're doing, and that's why I know that it's only a matter of time before, Hollywood producers start looking at what you're doing and say, hey, you know what, maybe it is time to do something like this. Maybe, out of anyone, you're the only one out there that's putting out stuff like this, so you would be the guy to go to.
Absolutely, and it's time to bury the stereotype and, move on. There's, literally tens of millions of guys out there and females out there riding Harleys worldwide.
Yeah.
And, out of that, you've got maybe 100 a year that are causing grief somewhere. So it's a very, very small minority, and it's time to move on and, show the rest of the world, the good aspects of the, Harley lifestyle.
Yeah,
and for that matter, all motorcycle lifestyle.
Yeah, well, no, without a doubt, because there's a stigma out there, and just to paint the picture, you have, you have a bar situation or a restaurant, and then a whole bunch of bikers come in, people will panic, but why does that happen? I have no clue. People are people.
It's the stigma, and it's what they've read in the papers,
right, and
what they've seen on TV, and they just believe that they're all like that, and that's just so far from the truth that it's just time for somebody to try to tell the world what it's all about.
Yeah, well, that's what you're doing, and I think that's fantastic, and I think that, again, what you're doing is great. It's painting a different picture, which people need to see the real story. They need to hear the real story. They need to see it on film. A lot of people don't read books. They may watch a film, but, it is very interesting. Just to touch on something, on my end, I know of someone that was in a motorcycle club. He retired, and he's a well-known celebrity. But again, people are people, and he's a real person. and it's not like, there's anything different between him and the next guy. And again, hopefully that stigma gets kind of flattened out a little bit with the stuff that you're doing. Now, Edward, do you have any appearances lined up currently? Because I want people to know where they can meet you, because I just find you fascinating, and I want people, that are out there, maybe they'll have the opportunity to greet, and I'm going to use this term, an icon in the motorcycle club arena. That's what I'm going to call you, an icon.
Well, I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. I just got done doing an appearance in the Boston area.
Okay.
I just flew back to Oklahoma. I'm so busy this fall that I probably won't make another round of appearances until Daytona Bike Week in Florida in March of 2010.
Okay. Now, what about websites? Can people go to your website and I guess find out what's going on with you, get updates, things of that nature?
Absolutely. And my website's very easy to remember. It's blockheadcity.com. BLOCK, like a block of concrete, HEAD, like your head, CITY, blockheadcity.com. They can go to the books page, they can go to the TV page, they can go to the appearance page, and they can generally see what's going on with me. They can look me up on Facebook, and they can look me up on Google. I think there's 100,000 pages on me in Google, so there's plenty of information out there.
About 150,000 pages.
Yeah, YouTube, there's 3 videos on there right now. There's one is a Bravo TV appearance with me and J.K. Rowling from Harry Potter.
Okay.
There is another one, a trailer for the Living on the Edge pilot.
Okay.
Which we shot a couple of years ago with the Vietnam Vets Motorcycle Club in Pennsylvania, which is just a fantastic deal. The DVD is available on Amazon.
Okay.
And then I think there's a third video on YouTube from my appearance on Fox Television with James Richard Larson.
Okay.
Which occurred earlier this year.
Yeah,
so there's plenty of information out there for people to find.
Yeah, most definitely, and I do urge people out there that are listening to this interview with you to go out and get your books, because I find it interesting, fascinating, your story. Maybe there'll be a biography or an autobiography or something like that on you, because I think that your journey is amazing. To go from where, from your path from Connecticut to Oklahoma to living the biker lifestyle to doing what you're doing now. How many people on this earth can say they've done that?
Not very many, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now, Out in Bad Standings is out of print, so if somebody finds a copy of it, they need to jump on it if they want it.
Collector's item.
The Assimilation is readily available. It's a great book. My co-author, Will DeClerc, and I wrote. It has a lot to do with the changeover of the rock machine up in Canada into Banditos a few years ago, which I was responsible for. All Roads Lead to Sturgis is out there at Barnes & Noble and Amazon. And, all the Living on the Edge is available at Amazon. And all the rest of the books that are coming will be out there at Barnes & Noble and Amazon and the rest of the ordinary bookstores in the world sometime in the near future.
Well, let me ask you one last question, because I know you have things to do. There was something, I don't know why it hit me, but I was watching something on television, and they had, and I didn't see it, I don't know if the show is out yet or what's going on with it, but I saw an ad for the Sons of Anarchy, and I wasn't sure what that was about. I knew it was a show. I think it was a show. Do you have anything to do with that?
Sons of Anarchy is on FX channel, and it's getting ready to start its second season.
Okay.
And it is about a mythical, fictional motorcycle gang called Sons of Anarchy. And the show takes the negative acts that were committed by the few that we were talking about earlier, and it sensationalizes those to where that's what these guys do every minute of their lives, which is, a total fabrication. It's very similar to what they did with the police and the Shield. Matter of fact, the same people are involved in it.
Okay.
And the main character, Jax, they took certain aspects of my life that were portrayed in Out in Bad Standings. The part where Jax has a new baby, and he's conflicted with being in the club and being a dad. That came from my book.
And we just talked about that.
Yeah, and then the other fact that he wants to bring the club back to its roots and get it away from committing crimes every minute of the day. That also was portrayed heavily in Out in Bad Standings. And what happened was, back in 2006, somebody from their camp got a hold of us and requested some complimentary copies of Out in Bad Standings, and they got sent out to the creators of that show, John and Art Linson and Kurt Suter. And, the way the fiction world works is you can pretty much do whatever you want, and all these characters are composites anyway.
Okay.
So I'm fine with it. I don't have any problem with it. Okay. And, in some ways, you're honored. So I wish them plenty of success, and they seem to be getting it with the show. To me, it's almost comical when I watch it, because, of it not being real. But if that's what does good for them, then more power to them.
Well, I mean, they're looking to get the viewership, and if that's what's working, then that's what's working, But what you're doing is the real deal. Even with your fictional, books and your projects, basically, you're going to be painting a picture that is not painted out there. And I know that you're going to be successful, as you have been with everything, because a lot of people don't understand too that even though you live that lifestyle, you're also a successful businessman.
Absolutely. I've always been a business guy, and ran a very successful construction company that I owned. We built about $25 million worth of stuff from 1995 up to 2005. And these days, I just don't have time for it anymore. I've got myself pushed. My plate is full, and there's no room to put anything else on it, so I had to let the construction stuff go. I've been investing in real estate over the years. I was involved in music when I was younger, and had a piece of a record company and a publishing company, still own the publishing company, and have lots of different interests business-wise, which most people don't find to be typical of a guy who has lived the life of an outlaw motorcycle club member.
Because that's the stigma they put out there, that all bikers are the same, and that is not the truth. That's the furthest thing from the truth.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, I'm telling you, I do look forward, and I know you're not speaking about it, but I do look forward to reading your biography, your autobiography, and reading about your whole entire life. Because this interview, we would have talked about everything, every aspect of everything you've been through, and the whole 9 yards. We would be on this call for probably 9 days, or maybe a month. I don't know, something like that.
It would take a while, that's for sure.
Yeah, that I do
appreciate you having me.
No, Edward, I do appreciate you taking the time. I know your plate is full. I know you're really busy, but it means a lot to me that you did take this time, and I'm glad that we were able to touch on certain things that, people may not realize. As I said before, and I'll say it again, that I consider you an icon in the motorcycle club arena, because there's no one out there that can give the rendition or paint the picture of what it really is to be a part of something like that and what really transpired. So I applaud you for that. And I do wish you continued success. And actually, when things do develop, if you're not too busy, we'd like to have you back on the show.
Well, I would love to be back on the show, and I sure appreciate your support. Thank you very much, Louis.
Thank you, Edward. I'll be speaking to you soon when your movies and TV and everything else happens for you.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Initiating shutdown sequence.
What is your major malfunction?
So let it be written. So let it be done.
Ladies and gentlemen, my mother thanks you, my father thanks you, my sister thanks you, and I thank you.